year is 2021, and Libsyn launches the latest podcast on the Borgcast Galactica feed. In a freak mishap, Borgcast Galactica and its hosts, Peter and Anne-Marie, are blown out of their trajectory to re-emerge as Borg Rogers in the 25th century.
Hello friend and welcome to Borg Rogers 2.11, the final episode.
Oh, thank God.
Where we cover the Dorian Secret. Written by Stephen McPherson, who's the scriptwriter, remember, and wrote Golden Man in the previous episode. Directed by Jack Arnold. Jack Arnold, the famous Hollywood director of the 50s, helmer of Creature from the Black Lagoon, who was swimming it with the Guardians earlier this season. He's back. And he's given such amazing material to work with.
Mm-hmm. I am Kaldar, Supreme Leader of the Dorians of Cygnus. Your defense shields have been disabled. I am in pursuit of a murderess who has taken refuge aboard your ship. You will give me the Dorian woman, Asteria.
A Dorian woman? Dorians are mutants, always wear masks. Everyone here is human.
When the woman is in my custody, your ship will be released.
So, you start with people queuing to get on a ship, and a woman is
Hang on. You see, you miss all the important things. Because Theta Station, the model, returns from Space Vampire, this time as Omega Solaris Station. But that's okay, because, Star Trek uses station designs, so that's fine.
Okay. People are queuing. A woman in purple is attacked by a maroon man, and they're both wearing masks. Hers gets ripped off, and she sort of runs for help. So Buck, who's wearing the horrible grey leather jacket again, kicks the maroon man and takes her into the shuttle. When he and Hawk take off, except Buck does the movement for the takeoff too early.
Yes. So funny. He lurches back, and then we get the sound effect and everybody else goes back. It's like, too soon, Buck. Not for the first time. So here they are transporting these people to the Searcher, who've been involved in some volcanoes or something.
Yeah, volcanic eruption.
But they're using Buck's space shuttle for it. Seems a bit bizarre, but there we go. I mean, surely the Searcher has shuttles or stuff, but we never saw them.
No. Buck says that he'll accept her as one of these survivors. But
She's called Elifa.
But he doesn't know that she's innocent. She could have been a proper criminal on the run.
Yeah, she just kicked some random bloke. He didn't know he was a baddie.
No.
Bizarre. She
could be some kind of poisoner or a witch or something. You don't know.
She's a witch, banner.
Yeah. Anyway, that's your teaser. Then everybody's taking their seats on the aeroplane.
Yeah, suddenly the Searcher has a passenger section.
And they're apparently all the survivors are resettling on Senius. And Wilma is the cabin crew now.
Yeah, she practically does the, emergency exit talk and stuff.
Meanwhile...
She says, I'm your liaison to the command crew. You are the command crew, are
exactly.
You? What's going on?
Yeah. The liaison to the command crew should be Tweaky.
Yes. Who doesn't get a line in this.
No. So Alifa goes off wandering around the ship, and she looks at her reflection and touches her face, and she's all sort of startled by it.
Yes, yet again, no security on the Searcher.
Yeah. I mean, not on the Enterprise either. This isn't the only sci-fi show that has a problem with that. She doesn't want to talk. And then the ship shakes, it's an emergency, and it's like, oh, clearly they're in a tractor beam. And Kaldar the Dorian, whose voice was really familiar to me, but like from cartoons and stuff, and you said that...
Yeah, Walker Edmiston did a lot of animation voiceovers, including Star Trek The Animated Series, so we'll be bumping into his voice again. Mm-hmm. For the Llama Gods out there, he played the voice of Inferno in the Transformers cartoon.
Inferno? No, that's Informer, isn't it? Ignore
that. I will do. He was also... in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Oh, wow.
Rather than probably providing the voice of Kingpin. I wouldn't have thought he'd be well suited for that, but there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, you may well be recognising his voice from cartoons from the 80s.
Yes. And so what the plan is on the part of the Dorians is to make it alternate between being very hot and being very cold.
I note you have not mentioned his ship yet, which I'm very disappointed about, obviously.
It just looked like an egg box. I'm getting the bottle opener to have more beer. Hang on.
And I'm getting the jingle out. What? No.
Get the jingle out.
Yes.
Now
now it's time to get anal about spaceships. Woohoo!
Took a trip on the Gemini spacecraft and thought about you. I passed through the shadow.
Yes, the Koldar ship is a modified version of the Cylon tanker from Battlestar Galactica. In fact, the pilot of Battlestar Galactica, I think that featured in, so there you go.
Right. So then you get to meet the passengers. One of them is a sort of shady magician.
I was going to say I couldn't remember any musicians.
Sorry, shady magician.
So he's Kronos, which I've got down as Crapper Moustache and Magic Man.
Yes, yeah. And then there's the gammon.
Yes, so he's called Rand, and he's played by Stuart Nisbet.
This way. Oh, that's Whizbit, sorry.
Yes, who was in Mission Impossible, Man from U.N.C.L.E., and a 1965 TV series called My Mother the Car.
What the fuck?
I know.
What?
You're going to miss these crazy references to shows,
My
aren't you?
mother's a car?
Yep, the story of the relationship between a man and his mother, the latter having been reincarnated as a 1928 Porter automobile. And it has...
What?
Yes, wait until you hear the theme.
Everybody knows in the second life we all come back sooner or later. As anything from a pussycat to a man-eating alligator. Well, you all may think my story is more fiction than it's fact. But believe it or not, my mother did decided she'd come back as a car. She's a very own guiding star. A 1928 Porsche. My mother did. She helps me through everything I do, and I'm so glad she's here. My mother the car. My mother the car.
What the fuck were they on?
I know.
Fucking hell. Have you
These
shared
shows-
that to Quinn?
I haven't, but I should, shouldn't I?
Yeah, fucking hell.
So,
No, nobody believes anybody can be reincarnated as a fucking car.
I don't think even people who believe in reincarnation believe that.
No.
And since when was that, generally accepted theology in the United States of America? I'm pretty sure that would not wash now, considering how far right a lot
It
of them
never
are.
washed, did it? I mean, it was clearly bollocks.
Anyway,
I thought things like the clangers were weird, but...
yeah, I know, we had some weird shows over here, but yeah, wow. There's also the decent dude.
Yes, the nice one.
Yeah, he's not that he's named on screen, he's called Saurus.
And then you've got...
Hang on, he's played by Denny Miller, who was one of the bearded androids from Battlestar Galactica's Gun on Ice Planet Zero. Remember them? They all look the same, turned out to be androids.
Oh,
The beards. Then you've got the lesbian couple, or at least
Yeah.
that's the way they come across anyway, which is
Yeah.
rather nice.
Yeah.
The one in the bluey-greeny jumper is called Clyce. It's played by Michelle Marsh, who was one of the Aldeans who wanted children and stole some from the Enterprise in the crappy Season 1 story When the Bow Breaks, which is almost on a level with Buck Rogers episodes, to be honest, in crapness. You remember that one? Wesley leads them all to escape. Yeah, it's a Wesley Saves the Day episode. The woman with her is referred to, I'm sure, on screen as being Sally, but she's listed as Sylar in IMDb and may have been in the script. Anyway, she's played by Brady Ruby, who was in Kentucky Fried Movie.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's, I think the lady in the pink jumper
Yeah.
is listed as Callie on IMDb. This is why it's so confusing with Sally's, Sylar's and Callie's. And she's played by Jackie Russell, who's got a bit of chewed, which is good. 'Cause
Yes.
we need that.
Yes, we do. So they fail the Joker test from... what's it called, the second one?
Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah, I think so. You know where he's got them all on
Yeah.
the boat, hasn't he? And he says you
Yeah.
can... Yeah, so they fail that test.
They do, don't they? Yes, I hadn't thought of that, but there you go. Just goes to show.
Because of a gammon
Yeah.
who should have been castrated. Or just shot. Or just,
The
when-
levels of anger in our living room were amazing. Had to be there.
You don't let a gammon speak. You lamp them.
I mean, it has to be said, it was a bit foolish just leaving her in there. They had plenty of opportunity. In fact, she actually wandered out at one point. And Buck just said, actually, I don't think it's a good idea you going back, really. I mean, obviously, it wasn't to know just how bad things were, but nevertheless, it was a risk, wasn't it? Particularly with them all being, the passenger section apparently being right by the airlock.
Yes, which is really not clever.
Seems wrong somehow, but there we are.
And the passengers having the ability to lock the room as well.
Yes, and indeed contact the enemy ship as well.
Yeah, that's just...
conveniently.
Oh, and they broadcast the whole thing,
Yeah,
didn't
they get to watch you all on the screen just to anger them even more.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But, yeah, so...
You can tell things are getting hot because Goodfellow takes his cardi off.
Oh, he didn't even do that in the desert.
No, he'll be wearing a hanky on his head next.
Oh, God. It's when it's got all the crusty bits of snot on that it's bad.
Yeah. We have a moment of hypnotism from Hawk, which is a bit bizarre, as he tries to hypnotise... I keep forgetting her name now.
Well, she changes it, because initially she says she's called Aletha, and then towards the end she says her name's a different name, because she's really made up Aletha, and then she's called Asturia or something, I don't know.
Yeah, that's it, yeah, something like that, isn't it? But anyway, he hypnotises her into coming with him, but then takes her back again, which seems a bit cruel, really, but there you go.
Yeah.
So he's got hypno powers now.
Thrilling.
Yeah. Anything you want to add about your bit?
No, I wanted to kill the gammon, kill the gammon, kill the gammon. I think it's in my bit... that it's like they discover that the Dorians have no reflective surfaces, so I'm wondering how she's done her makeup.
Yes. Presumably they do it for each other.
Yeah, but no, they can't.
They can't because they can't see beyond the mask, you're right, yeah.
So I don't know how that...
Think of the stench when they take those masks off.
Oh!
Speaking of gammon.
Ooh, and she didn't kill him, she says. He was already injured, and she couldn't stop him from falling or something.
Yes.
So there you are, she's innocent.
Kronos points out that Dorians don't like mirrors and suggests using his reflective flan? Yeah, he's got a reflective flan, which he's serving to the passengers.
Mirror quiche,
It's a
yum.
bit shiny, but I do like the taste. Anyway, he's going to flush her out with that, apparently. Goodfellow describes Dorians as stubborn and proud, but despite that, Buck tries to reason with Koldar. Buck claims to be in charge of the Searcher's mission, which is a new one. Really? Since when?
I thought he was in charge of the specific mission to rescue the whatever it was.
That's not what he says. Well, I suppose that might be what he's inferring then. But again, has he been given a proper rank now? Let's not care about it. The show is over. Let's not worry about this sort of stuff. He manages to get Koldar to agree to him coming aboard the Dorian vessel and to see the evidence against Aletha, or whatever her name is. The ship's dock and Buck is met by Demeter, Koldar's son, and he shows Rogers footage of Chozan falling to his death.
Was he the chosen one?
He was the chosen one to die, yes. Although it isn't obvious from the footage that Aletha is responsible, it has to be said. But,
no.
Meanwhile, Klyce is losing her cool, literally, and Kronos offers to lift people's spirits with his crap magic.
Oh, shit magic.
Wafting around his fan and catching Aletha out. Get locked up.
But why did she freak out when she seen her reflection already and just touched her face a bit? So she's seen it, she knows what she looks like, so she should be fine with it.
I know, but I suppose if you've not seen your face for your whole life, it takes a bit of adjustment, but there you go.
But she doesn't run away screaming when she catches her reflection in the window, so why would she be so frightened of the fan?
Well, she tries, I don't know. Look, this stuff isn't that good. Okay, do you not pick that up by now? Do you think I'm really going to try and justify this series at this point? It's just shit, okay? That's the reason. What's the black dog thing?
Shut up, that's why.
Shut up, well, it's crap, that's why, okay? It's our Buck Rogers say. Buck points out the footage is ambiguous, but Demeter acts like this never occurred to him before. Rogers tries to cross-examine him, and Demeter weasels that he tried to get Aletha banished rather than executed, and lets slip he doesn't think she deserves punishment. Until now, all Wilma has got to do is sweat, which... I'm not going to complain about that, obviously, but, she does check the view screen to see what the passengers are up to and sees Rand raving. Again, more fool them putting her back in with the others. Wilma and Hawk head off to kick some butts, but are locked out and have to shoot their way in, but not before various passengers vote for Team Crazy, including the couple with the pregnant baby. With the pregnant baby, yes. That's how it works, isn't it? Babies get pregnant and give birth to mothers, apparently.
Yeah, who turned out to be a fucking car.
Actually, that was an episode, wasn't it? The Golden Boy, that was, yes. Anyway, having tossed Aletha into the airlock, so to speak, Rand uses a handy emergency communication centre to let Koldar know what they've done.
Yeah.
Wilma says she doesn't know who to feel sorry for. Well, it can't be the crappy passengers, surely. Buck gets his audience with Koldar, but then Aletha is brought in for a televised trial. Buck points out that Koldar is a tad biased to be acting as judge, which is fair enough. The Dorian asks his crew if anyone doubts the case. Demeter can only imagine of a plea for banishment. Buck suggests Koldar execute her now, giving Demeter a pointed look. The execution weapon is the crazy huge spiked dildo thing last seen as one of the arena weapons in Ardala Returns.
I thought it was a chainsword.
No,
It's a
not
spiked
even that
dildo,
good.
is it?
Well, it's not actually a dildo, but it's a giant sword thing that's completely impractical and, yeah. Finally, Demeter buckles and confesses he had quarrelled with his brother about them removing their masks, leading to a fall. Koldar asks the reasonable question why Demeter didn't come out with the truth if it was an accident, but apparently fear is the answer. Demeter unmasks himself, literally as well. Buck asks why they have a problem with their appearance, and Koldar realises their secret comes at too high a price and orders them all to go maskless. And it turns out in a way too overlong scene where we get multiple unmaskings of the same person really badly. The camera pans across and you can see the moment where it jumps.
Yep.
It's terrible.
It's really bad.
And it turns out that they all look the same. Wow. I mean, I suppose Walker Edmondson does a good job of dubbing over William Cullen's visuals, but that's about the only good thing we get out of this.
Yeah.
Rand doubles down by saying he thinks they did the right thing. Wow. You'd expect Buck to kick him out of an airlock, but instead he points out that they should do a learn. And that's the episode end. No pun. And that's the series end. It's a bit of a bummer, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you people never learn. Well, that's the end of Borg Rogers, folks. Enjoy the rest of your chips and fish fingers. Wow. So, yes, Buck does indeed end on a whimper. The glory days of the camp silliness of season 1 long behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least this episode isn't offensive, but it's hardly a fun watch.
No.
And the worst crime, of course, the absolutely most heinous crime, no BJ count. Boo!
The worst crime is Tweaky not being in it properly.
Yeah.
I mean, do we even see him?
We do. He's in the scene on the bridge.
Yeah, but
Crichton only gets 2 lines.
And that doesn't bother me.
Dr. Goodfellow only gets 2 scenes.
Yeah.
Although he does get to take his cardi off. Ooh, sexy time. But but yeah. Although Admiral Asimov keeps his jacket on at all times.
Yeah.
Which seems a tad stupid, but there we are. Yeah. Series as a whole?
Well, it's a tale of two halves, isn't it? Because the first season...
2/3, yes.
But the first season is cheesy 70s fun, and I love it.
I would recommend season 1 as campy fun. I mean, yeah, it's 80s politics, so beware of that, but ultimately it's fun. Season 2...
Bollocks.
Pretty gruelling, it has to be said. Even though it's only 11 episodes long, it's like, that's a long 11 episodes.
And either I misremembered or possibly for some reason maybe my brain had been amputated, I don't know, but I thought I'd enjoyed this much more than I had. If you see what I mean. I thought season 2 was not as bad as it was.
Yeah.
Or I was pissed. It's entirely possible that I didn't even start watching it until I'd had 4 pints in me and then didn't care, maybe.
Okay.
But I can't identify which episode it was I thought was good. I thought at some point I would come to it and go, that was the episode I enjoyed. Didn't happen.
It was all in your mind.
Yeah, I think it was.
There was talk of a revival with Frank Miller, of all people, being
Who's
lined
he?
up. Most famous for Sin City. He famously redid Batman. It's much grittier and darker.
You can't have a gritty, dark Buck Rogers.
I know. Yes, that is a bit of a silly idea. He did the Spirit first. I think that's what suggested him to people, apparently. But that project tanked, so, yeah. The producer of the awful Bayformers movies, Don Murphy, announced he was making a Buck movie in 2015. But then there was some snafu about the rights. And the last word from 2021 was a Don Murphy-produced TV series, rumoured to be starring... Do you remember this? Because I remember, just as we were starting to cover this rumour came out. George Clooney.
Wow.
Yes. It's still listed as being in development on IMDb, but I suspect it'll never see the light of day. No. Why would George Clooney even want to do that?
I don't know. Tax loss thing?
Maybe. Yes, some sort of write-off. Yeah.
No. I mean, they could... I haven't watched any of it, but they have done a remake of Quantum Leap.
Yes, that's recently started airing. I mean, I was never a great fan of the original Quantum Leap, so I'm not rushing to watch it, I must admit. I always found it very cheesy. Not in a good Buck way cheesy, actually, but just cheese.
I did watch it, but And I remember watching it to the end, but I didn't start at the beginning, if you see what I mean.
I remember watching the first episode thinking, this is quite good. But then it immediately turned into one of those naff US cheese fests where it was all about learning lessons and it was grim. So I'm afraid.
I watched some of it, but I didn't watch it like every week. And I do remember, though, making a point of watching the last episode. But if they can redo that, and they have redone Battlestar but in a very different way...
Yeah.
They could redo this, but just not with George Clooney. I just don't see that.
I just can't see why George Clooney wanted to do it. That's the thing.
No. Who would?
Who would make a good Buck Rogers? So there's a question. Noel Edmonds? He's not really into acting, though, is he? I suppose he'd have to be an all-American, wouldn't he, really, to fulfil the character description.
Yeah. No, actually, what I'd want is a pastiche, and I would want Matt Berry.
We just cast Matt Berry and everything, don't we? But yes, fair enough, I got that. A Matt Berry Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
And a Buck Rogers movie.
Yeah.
And he could do it ironically cheesy, couldn't he?
Yeah.
That would really work. Actually, that could be a funny show, that would be.
Yeah.
Come on, somebody get out there and make that. Find the funny for that one.
And Tweaky'd be a bit different and voiced by the guy who does Bender.
Yeah, although I think he's probably done doing robots.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Yeah, you'd have to find somebody else to do that. But yeah. Dr. Goodfellow?
No, not having Dr. Goodfellow, having Dr. Hewer.
Okay, we'll be Dr. Hewer, right. And if Colin's still alive, then we can use Colin for that.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah. And then who would be Wilma?
Don't know. I'm a bit out of touch with TV these days, so I couldn't tell you who's the latest hot person that you cast in that sort of role. The lass who's in She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She could. Or...
And yeah, again, put a bit of comedy in it. And
yeah.
I think you can't play it straight. That's just going to be naff, isn't it? As we found out with season 2 of Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
Hawk?
Yeah.
Who's playing Hawk?
No, he's only in season 2. You don't have to have him.
Oh, damn it. But I do like Hawk. He's the best thing about season 2 by a country mile, isn't he?
So who is going to wear a swimming hat with feathers on and be a shit failure of a bird?
Peter Serafinowicz. Somebody make this. I want to see this now. Who'd voice Tweaky? Because Mel Blanc's dead, isn't he? So that slightly cuts him out of the casting possibility.
Yeah. The problem is that most of the voice actors I know are actually quite a bit older now.
Yeah. Well, good. Our generation of voice actors, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're not. Our kids are now too old for cartoons, so we're not even hearing them.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It would just have to be somebody who is a good voice actor, perhaps, or just a comedian, possibly.
Yeah.
That would work.
Oh, the guy who plays Nandor.
It's Tweaky.
Yeah, why not? I mean, obviously you're not going to get him in the costume. That's been impossible, but yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, that's the thought, though. Why can't you have the person in the costume doing the voice?
I know. Adam Buxton.
As Tweaky?
Yes.
I tell you who'd make a good Dr. Hewer if we aren't having Colin.
Mm-hmm.
Idris Elba. He's old enough now. He's grey.
You've got a choice, Idris. You can do James Bond or
Dr. Hewer.
Dr. Hewer. I think he's a bit young for Dr. Hewer.
He's grey. He's grey.
I know, but he's still young. Too young for that.
Yeah, but the guy who played Dr. Cardigan's old. We're ignoring Dr. Cardigan. Dr. Hewer was not that old.
He was, relatively. That's why he reminded us of our old vicar.
Well, it was the way he spoke more than anything else.
And anyway, Idris Elba is just too fit, and it's like he was in that.
Okay, then Lawrence Fishburne. Then
no, now you've gone the opposite to too fit, haven't you?
Yeah, that was my instinctive reaction actually.
Wow. Anyway,
Morgan Freeman. He would bring some gravitas to the role, and that's what Dr. Hewer did. Sort of. Well, he brought some. He was sweet, and
I bet Morgan Freeman was a real Buck Rogers fan back in the day. So
yes, he must have loved it. Of course, he did.
I think yes, because there's not enough. It's all very white, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's a good idea. Is having some.
But also, if everybody else is comedy, you've got to have a straight guy.
Yeah.
So put Morgan Freeman in as the straight guy.
Yeah.
And have She-Hulk woman.
Yeah.
And yes, as Wilma, and you've got Matt Berry.
Yes, as Buck.
And you've got Adam Buxton doing Tweaky.
Yeah, sorted. Somebody make that. We'll start the GoFundMe anytime soon. Anyway, that's our raving and rantings out the way. We've got a new feedbacker. It's our number 2 child, Quinn, whom I interviewed earlier. So I'm joined by Quinn. Yeah. Do you think this would be, as my offspring, this would be their first podcasting experience?
No.
No, it's not even this. You can listen to Quinn talking on the awesome Great Derelict podcast. You were talking about the Orville. But anyway, we've dragged you onto this podcast to talk Borg Rogers, because you've joined us for most of the journey.
Well, yeah.
Not all of it has to be said.
I skipped, a few episodes?
Just a few.
Because
Mainly
they're
season
boring.
2.
But season 2 is so shit.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being on the show. And that's Quinn's opinion, everybody. Was there anything redeemable about it?
That they got Tweaky back.
Yes.
The original Tweaky.
That was a relief, wasn't it? Yes.
Almost no.
No. But season 1, did you enjoy season 1 and its cheesiness? The space rockers?
More than season 2.
Yeah.
But it's still the plot was just repeating and repeating. Well, oh no, girl is in trouble.
Yeah.
And then Borg Rogers go, I'll help you. Go fall in love with Borg Rogers. And then they find out who bad guy is. They get him. And then, woo.
Yeah, the sexual politics in the 1980s weren't to your liking, I think it's fair to say. Kind of unsurprisingly, as a teenager.
As anyone.
Yeah, as anyone I would hope now is true enough. But yes, I think it was probably more of a shock to you than it was me and your mom.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are old, so.
Do you have a... Thank you. Do you have a favourite character?
Tweaky.
Tweaky, okay. Wow, well, it was designed for the kids, so there you go. They didn't get everything wrong.
I hate his girlfriend, though. Booty.
Tina! Oh, yeah. Well, that was the best episode, wasn't it?
No.
You were in pain. You were actually in actual pain watching that episode, weren't you? But then again, anything that involves robots and love is really a massive turn off for you, isn't it? Again, listen to The Great Derelict to hear more about that.
Wrong. It's microwaves having sex. I don't want it.
Anything else you'd like to add about your Borg Rogers experience?
What was his Tweaky's kid's name?
Tweaky. Oh, Crichton. Yes.
Yeah, I so hoped he died. I was. The suspense of his death was just so. And then, of course, because it's Borg Rogers, no one dies.
No, and he gets magically repaired by
his
pixies.
Brain gets juice and
racist pixies from space. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was the worst episode.
Yeah, that was
by
awful.
far the worst episode.
I think for me the worst episode was the clip show, but that was just because that's so cheap. But yeah, that's a close second, I think. Yeah.
Well, like an actual proper episode that isn't just a highlight. That's the worst one. Because wasn't it the same one with they would sexually assault
harassing women? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, that's so silly."
Yeah.
It's like, bro, she's traumatized.
Again, it's the 80s. I'm sorry.
You can do crime any day in the 80s.
that was pretty much it. Yeah. Golden era. Anyway. Well, thank you for joining us, Quinn, and we release you now from the suffering.
Yay! Finally.
And yes, you can look forward to now more Star Trek now, basically.
Yeah, the final episode wasn't even great. It wasn't this cool finale. I don't know, where the entire ship explodes, everyone's dead. That's the finale.
A, your expectations are way too high. If that's what you were hoping for, and B, it was just cancelled. So that happened to shows back then. These days, Netflix just waits until they've made 2 seasons and then cancels it. Whereas in those days, if your ratings weren't good, you got cancelled. A few episodes in. Yeah, no time to write anything else. I'll tell you about Firefly someday, but anyway.
I watched that.
Yeah?
And
that just ends.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I remember being kind of into it. Most of it was drama, to be fair. But I was into the sci-fi part of it. Mm-hmm. And then I was just like, all right, when's the next episode? There isn't any.
Yep. Yep, that's it.
So we're just going to end on this?
Done.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Budget pulled.
Woo.
So, yes. Whilst the 80s were until golden era, let's face it, nor were the...
red era.
Firefly, was that the 90s or 2000s? I can't remember now.
I don't fucking know.
Anyway, the past. The dim, distant past.
Horrible past.
To the future!
And that also sucks, doesn't
Yay!
it? Everything sucks.
There you are. There's the outlook of a teenager for you. I think so.
Shut up!
Right, thank you, Quinn.
No problem.
Bye.
I hope to never experience this ever again.
Oh, it'll happen sometime, I'm sure.
Fuck.
For old time's sake. Dust it off and
Cry
possibly
about
only
it.
watch season 1.
Definitely. I don't want a cardigan man.
So there you go. There's Quinn's thoughts. What were we thinking making them watch this? I do not know. And we've also heard from Jeff. Hooray!
Yay! And Jeff writes, at least the last episode of Buck Rogers wasn't terrible. There was a pretty good moral dilemma at the centre of the episode, but like all of season 2, it was pretty lazily executed. It was a good move to include the refugee plot in order to provide the various viewpoints in the discussion of Asteria's fate. As Asteria, that's what she was in the end. Unfortunately, it boiled down to sheer craven self-preservation versus abstract principle. There was a slight bit of nuance introduced late when the expecting couple began to waver, considering their child. Not the pregnant baby, if you remember.
Yes,
it was the expecting couple.
What does someone think of the children?
Of course, the whole episode was really about the Twilight Zone style twist at the end,
Yeah.
when the titular Dorian secret was revealed. I definitely didn't see that reveal coming, but I'm not sure all the Dorians looking alike was as profound as the writers believed it to
Or
be.
indeed the director, considering how long that scene
Oh, I
took.
know. Also, why didn't Asteria look just like everyone else? Well,
Presumably all the women look like Hysteria.
that would have been better, though. Can you imagine if she looked like him?
Well, I think But might have struggled slightly to have found her quite so attractive.
Yeah, that's true.
Might have been the problem with that one.
I have a terrible track record of picking up subtext, but were Scylla and Cleis a shockingly progressive couple?
I think they were.
I think they were.
Yeah.
If so,
Mopping her brow tenderly.
yeah.
It's like,
If so, it was impressive to see such a situation presented in such a matter-of-fact way, as though it was nothing out of the ordinary.
Perhaps that's why Buck got cancelled.
Overall,
Progressive for the 80s.
I had a real blast watching this series along with the podcast. Objectively, the show really ran out of steam partway into season 1, but your podcast almost spun gold out of straw. Season 2 was pretty bad, but if you had as an outlier, I'd say it was better than Galactica 1980.
Well, yes, but then Galactica 1980 was so cheap and bad.
Oh, with the fucking scouts.
Oh, that's just painful, wasn't it?
If you decide to cover another half-baked cheesy sci-fi series in the future, I'll definitely be along for the ride.
Oh, bless. We've got a plan, but it won't be happening for a while yet because we've got too much Trek.
Yeah.
Sorry, blame the makers of Star Trek. But thanks for joining us on the ride, Jeff.
Thank you.
I have sent our feedback as the certificate that I promised of utter cheapness. All right, we're on to some more MP3 feedback. Now it's time to hear from Sampo and Jonna.
Oh dear.
How did this go down in Finland?
You know what?
What?
That might have been one of the best final episodes ever. It was both emotional and satisfying.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, enough about Better Call Saul. What did you think of the Dorian Secret?
What happens in it?
There's lots of extreme pro-mask people, which is a pretty funny thinking. No anti-maskers inside.
I shall never wear masks again.
Well, okay, yeah, maybe in the end, I did laugh at the beginning when Buck sees a woman running. He just sort of jumps.
Woman coming, puff.
Exactly, he just kicks the guy in the face without further questions.
Yeah, but there's a woman. She's running.
Yeah.
Somebody else is running. It's a manly survivor thing, just to eliminate all other male prospects.
Yeah.
And just puff, and then take the woman in and shut the door. Then you can ask questions.
Well, I think the episode would have been better if the woman actually had been guilty, but that's asking a bit too much from this series.
Yeah, I guess.
But I have to say, I mean, I think this was one of the better episodes of season 2. I mean, it wasn't.
I do think so too.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't too boring and wasn't offensive or stupid. So you know, I mean that. And I actually liked the twist. I didn't see it coming that they all looked the same, and so that was the mutation.
And it made sense that they had masks, because he said, imagine a world where everyone is sheer image of yourself. Madness. And I guess it would be a madness, like both ways, like in a culture where people might look like me or you.
Yeah, so
And also when they had their masks, the masks were individual.
yeah, so it actually makes a lot of sense, which is something I wasn't expecting to be saying. And to continue this positive kind of thinking, I also like that the mob mentality with the passengers, it wasn't immediate. Like the one guy started shouting, everyone else was like, we can't do that. Oh, shut up, sit down. No, who made you boss? It was only after they really started fearing for their lives that they went along with it and they regretted it. It was better than what you usually see, that one guy starts shouting and everyone just joins in. Like, yeah.
I liked the one woman who came across with the shouter man, and
yeah, she stood up for herself.
Indeed, this is what it did. Yes.
Yeah.
She had courage.
Yeah, but okay. The bad side, I mean, Buck and the crew, they really should have taken the woman out of there the moment the situation started, instead of just leaving her there with the sort of increasingly hostile mob. I mean, they should have seen that.
They should have protected her.
Yeah, exactly. And why did the people in the cabin see all the video negotiation between the Dorian ship and the Searcher?
Why could the mob talk to the Dorian ship?
Good question. He just pressed a button on the wall. This is the Searcher to the Dorian ship. Well, no, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and it's just plain stupid. As stupid as King Dorian to say to other Dorians just to take off their masks, and they take it. And if the custom is not to take away the mask, how can he break the rule?
Well, it's almost as if dictators could do whatever they want. Yes, like, hello, this is an anonymous gallop. Do you approve your leader's actions? There will be no consequences if you say no.
Seriously, no.
Yeah. But yeah, well, I guess thank God that's over. I mean, speaking of the season as a whole, I mean...
but talking about ending the series and watching the ending of the series like right now, I think it was quite dark ending. What did he say? He said, learn from the past, live for the future. That's something that humans never really get the hang of it. Like
back in my time, which is our time, basically.
Which is this time,
yeah.
And
he just looked at the screen accusingly, and the end. That's the whole series.
That's it then.
That's it. Yeah. Well, thanks for this, I guess. Yeah. Well, I guess that's it. Bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on this crazy, crazy journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the twist wasn't predictable, I don't think. I'd not guessed what was going to happen, but the reveal was very plodding, I'm afraid.
Really? Yeah, it was.
It sucked all the drama out at the moment. But yes, I too like the fact that not everybody was run over by the mob straight away. And in fact, even by the end, there was some who was stood up for the right thing, so that was good. But yes, it was nuts leaving the poor lass in there, wasn't it?
Stupid. What did Drew and Tracy make of this?
So that was the Dorian Secret.
It was.
And what did we think of that one? The last ever
Buck
Rogers. What do we think of that one?
Well, like you might be able to hear Mitty purring right next to the mic.
Yeah.
I feel that happy as well. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great high end to the season.
Have a fucking word with yourself, yeah.
I thought it was good.
Right, explain why.
Because I thought the story was good. I think the acting was good. It was good.
From who?
Well, from Buck and all that. Like, I don't know. It reminded me of like a Philip K. Dick kind of story. You know, like the twist at the end. They're all like the same. I think it also helps that I can remember this absolutely 100% the whole lot of it. It's probably the most well-known one that I can remember.
There was just too much smelling the fart acting.
There was a lot of that
in
going
this,
on, yes.
Episode for me. But let's go through some points.
Okay.
So it starts off with Asteria. So she's like, has her mask ripped off, and she's running for her life, and help me back. Or she doesn't say back because she doesn't know it's back. Help me. And he instantly just lets her on the flight and then kicks the Dorian guy, in the chest.
Yeah,
when he doesn't even know.
I know, before you know it.
Done. She might be a fucking serial murderer and stuff like that.
They turned out they thought she was a murderer, yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. So that just daftness, wasn't it?
Yes.
And we did laugh. Well, we didn't laugh, but we were a bit commenting on Dorian. So she is the highest ranking air stewardess.
She's a colonel in the army, and she's like an air hostess, isn't she,
Colonel
for the passengers?
Dorian, and I'm here to serve your needs during this flight to wherever the fuck we're going.
Yep.
That was just ridiculous. How they've like downgraded her throughout the whole of the second season just really pissed me off.
Yep. And talking of the passengers, there's a bunch of knobheads, weren't they? They really, really were.
Who, the magician guy?
Well, yeah, all of them.
Well, they were very judgmental, weren't they?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, you can take you back to the lava planet or wherever it was and let you all burn, to be honest.
Exactly. And to be fair, the twist at the end, and I know I am jumping right to the end.
It's a good twist. I thought it was good.
They weren't bad people to look at.
Yeah, I know. That was the twist, though. You think the mutants, you think, oh, look, they're going to have like 3 eyes or like 5 eyes and something green hair. But it turns out they just look the same. That's what I'm saying, a Philip K. Dick twist. Why did they take Asteria back to the passengers after Hawk had taken her out?
Exactly.
Perfect example. Just take her out and that was it.
But there was 2 things here that we did question. Why did they take her back? But also, why did they have the Dorian ship on the comms
the
where the
communications
whole passengers could see?
Why was they playing that to the passengers?
What kind of fucking madness is that?
know,
We're about to blow up your ship. And also, hot, cold, and we did get annoyed when fucking the doctor.
Yeah. He's like, is he going to take his cardigan off?
Yeah, but he's taking his little cardi off. But he's already got his thick cardigan hanging over.
At least he took him off.
The side, so he wears 2 cardigans, not just one. And then if you looked, his shirt was like terry toweling. So fucking hell.
He's got 3 layers of insulation.
How much warmth do you need?
Yep.
Dear me.
We was reminded of Airplane, wasn't we?
I so need to watch Airplane now.
We're
going to die. We're going to die.
I can't help but think they must have been influenced by Airplane, like the passengers on there.
Maybe. You did also comment at the beginning how much Bucky's really starting to look like Han Solo.
Han Solo, he's transitioning into Han Solo,
really
yeah.
is. But he looks better in this episode.
Yeah, I think so.
Gil Gerard.
Gil Gerard, yeah.
Yeah.
He does.
In the other episodes, he's looked really haggard.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's a great episode. I think the best one of season 2. You don't agree, obviously. The dead eyes. I really thought this was good. I think it's a good story. It's just, it's okay, maybe campy acting and that.
I was kind of expecting the end of season 2, like they're making no more ever. Why didn't they just like do a Dallas
Kill
and
him
have
all.
him woke up?
Blake 7.
No, why didn't they just have him like, oh hello, wake up like back in 1980s or whatever?
Maybe, yeah, they could have done it.
Yeah, could have taken him back. They could have done with Dallas, and none of this has happened. It's all his imagination.
No, it's a good ending to the season, I reckon. That's my point of view.
Whatever. Anyway, leave it there.
Okie dokie.
Take it easy, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye. We broke Drew. We definitely broke Drew.
Yes. Yes.
We wore him down.
It's not good.
The smelling the fart acting, I think, was due to all the people in masks.
Yeah.
But yes, air hostess Wilma was not a good look, I think it's fair to say.
No.
And broadcasting the comms to the passengers, definitely not the best idea ever.
No.
I think Gilbert was relieved it was all over. That's why he looked a little more at ease with himself. And this is like this. Finally, this gig has come to an end.
Yeah.
I can get on with my life.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't go back and have them make all a dream, because that would have been more annoying than the episode we got.
Well, yes.
It's always annoying when they cheat like that. Box of delights, I'm looking at you.
Well, there we go, spoilers. Let's find out finally what Purry made of the final episode of Borg Rogers.
Hello, Orgs. Purry here to talk about the Dorian Secret. Yes, the final episode of Borg Rogers and the welcome end of Borg Rogers Season 2. Now, first thing, I wasn't quite sure, and I couldn't be bothered Googling, were the Dorian meant to be the same race as that mutant bloke with the mask from Plot to Kill a City? I wasn't sure if they were going for like some continuity or something, or if they just like the idea of people in masks. So, I think I'll get the good of this episode out of the way first. The hero masks, if you will, the ones that your big gold lad and the whiny son were wearing, I actually quite liked those. I thought they were quite well built. The 2-segment idea, so that the mouth moved, I thought it was a good effort, and the designs were interesting. They were nice and colourful. That said, of course, the masks for the extra guards had a kind of underbite on them. You know, they weren't articulated, obviously, like the fancy ones for the two main most speaking roles. And as a result, they looked incredibly derpy and frankly laughed. They just had a really weird sort of simplistic hillbilly look to them, but mask, and it made me laugh every time. It looked like a confused dog. The actual story, oh god, they're trying high concept sci-fi and they don't have the ability for it. You could see at some point someone's decided, yes, we'll let you do high concept sci-fi, and so you can almost feel the person saying, oh yeah, look, we're doing something deep. But obviously they didn't have enough episodes to do one deep thing, so they tried to do two at the same time. So one of our stories is for some reason the Searchers are taking a hold of people somewhere, and they're all sitting in a room in office chairs. And we get to know these characters, and no one really cares about. But then they're stuck in there with our Dorian, and they're heating up and cooling the ship, and you see the people turn on them, and they all go mad, and eventually throw her off the ship into the waiting hands of her captors, and then they get scowled at and talked harshly to by Wilma and Hawk and Buck at the end, and that's kind of it does the dark ending of the I hope you make your life better, because they all went nuts and kind of turned on the one vulnerable person, aside from blonde muscly bloke and that other woman's wife, I assume. Neither of them did, but everyone else kind of turns on her. So that was part of it, doing kind of the look, crowds can be bad when people are scared and under pressure. And then the other one was what was the Dorian secret? Well, as it turns out, the reason they wear masks, despite the fact that they're fine, is they all have the same face. And yes, the bit where he took off his mask and said, imagine looking everywhere and seeing a mirror image. And they were kind of trying for these deep, sort of hung on these, we've made our big concept to now hang on the words. They were trying for that, and it really just doesn't work. It just looks like sort of a teenager going, look, we've done a thing and it's deep and meaningful. Look at our deep meaningfulness. And actually what it was boring. It was a lot of people kind of sitting around in chairs. They had to kind of put the whole Searcher in danger. And actually I thought better, me trying to fix this episode, aside from just binning it or burning it, I thought the better fix would have been to put them all on a shuttle with maybe Buck. And have maybe William and Hawk trying to come to rescue everyone while the Dorians are heating and cooling them. I thought that might have given us a bit more tension, and then you'd have also had Buck bouncing off the people in there, whereas as it was, none of our mains were actually in that room with the people when they were going mad, and so you kind of felt a bit detached from the whole thing. So what do we think about Buck Rogers as a whole? Let's start first. Season 1 had a lot of fun in it, actually. I'm really glad I revisited some of that, because there were some really fun episodes. Some good daft stuff. Season 1. Season 1 is something I would recommend if they know what they're getting into. People watch. Season 2 was pretty poor. I mean, I'm glad that I can't get triggered by the word that made the worst and most disturbing episode because it's unpronounceable. But really, this was it was so often boring, and when it wasn't boring, it was actively offensive. And we had maybe 1-2 good episodes. They tried to introduce new characters and it just didn't take off. So, I am glad to be seeing the back of Buck Rogers Season 2. I'm not quite Metcalfing my DVD out the window, but it's not far off. So, all that remains to say is, this has been a journey, guys. Thank you for taking us on it. I do mean that. That's not out of the way. And I can't wait. Once we've finished all the Star Treks, I can't wait to see what you guys are going to bring us next. But until that time, keep up the good work, whatever we endeavour to do next, and I'll hopefully join you then. But until then, bye for now.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
I did joke that Amory was going to set fire to a Buck Rogers t-shirt. Having completed this. It would have been much better if he had been set on a shuttle. Yeah. Been more tension-filled. It probably would have had similarity to that. There was that Doctor New Who episode, wasn't there, where the Doctor was on a shop with a bunch of people and they were being surrounded by unknown horrors, and the crew were. It turned out the passengers were the real monsters. But it would have felt slightly less, as you put it, a teenage deep
meaningfulness.
Yes.
Yeah, I hadn't picked up on the other masks looking derpy.
Yes, they do when they're all looking to one another and then taking the masks off. They've got massive underbites, which looks funny. And the dude from Plot to Kill a City had a vaguely manky face, so he was different to these people, so not the same.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes. He didn't just look like everybody else, because you wouldn't know anyway, would you? There wasn't anyone else like him there.
No, he was the only one. I think it may have been the last of his planet or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Last of his kind.
Such a long time ago. It's hard to remember these
Yes,
things.
it is. Ago. Yeah.
And probably for good reason, we've wiped a lot of this from our memory already.
Yes.
So before we finally wipe the rest of our brain cells with alcohol, thank you everybody who's joined us on this crazy voyage.
Yep.
I have handed out some certificates. If you've been joining us and would like one, then do email borgcast@gmail.com and I will send you your cheap naff I survived Buck Rogers certificate, redeemable for 20p or something, I don't know. Well, not that much, I shouldn't think of it. Scores on the doors for the BJ count. Obviously, there was none for this episode. The episodes fluctuated in season 2 between 2 and none, basically. So never reaching the dizzy heights of season 1, with certain episodes getting 3 BJ counts. I had to make a third BJ count jingle at one point. And who knows, maybe as somebody suggested, I might get to dust it off at some point in the future if there's somebody in Trek who was in BJ and the Bear. But to be honest, that was so long ago now, I'm not sure how likely that is. I'm sure most people involved in that careers have been long over, so there we are. But there we are. Yes, the plan now going forwards is the other feed, the Borgcast feed. We'll be covering, alternating between original Star Trek and Strange New Worlds. So next week we cover the next Strange New Worlds, and then there's a original series, and we'll do that until we've run out of Strange New Worlds. Then we'll be covering
Lower
Decks season 3.
Yep.
And then Discovery season 4.
And then we see where we are, because we might go straight into Discovery season 5. It just depends how long that's all taken us.
Should we find ourselves with time in our hands, however, we do have a little plan for this feed. So this feed isn't going to completely go away, but it will be probably dormant for a little while. And we'll let you know, obviously, on social medias when we're heading back with the next series we're covering. We do have something relatively cheesy in 80s that we can be covering next as and when we've got time. So, watch this space. And who knows, if with a bit more time in our hands, we may start bringing those out. All I'll say is it's readily available on YouTube. So no excuse for not joining in when that one hits the feed. Cheery bye!
Bye! The voiceover for Borg Rogers was provided by Michael David Sims from Earth2.net.
The Buck Rogers theme was played by Drew Barker. All other music is used for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
The artwork for this podcast was created by Andy Palastides.
To contact us, send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Contact us via Twitter at rev_org or Borgcastammo. #Borgcast.
Visit our website at galactica.libsyn.com.
Or view images relating to our cast on our Tumblr site, borgcast.tumblr.com.
You can join our Facebook page. There's also a Spotify playlist with all our play-out tunes on it.
Shut it down!
Hold off. Is that what he said?